All right, guys, welcome to the Wikid podcast number 7. We got a few of the Wikid creators in for our first segment today. We're joined by Ebi Canals,
Hey, what's
and
up?
we're also joined by Heavy Tank. How's it going?
Fine, thank you. It's a very humid evening in the southern hemisphere tonight.
Bringing it in for representing the other side of the world for us today. And how's it? What's the weather like over there, Canals? Is it just as hot?
It's equally as humid, but it's much colder.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's raining. I keep saying this is like Spanish Ireland. It's raining all the time.
Now, which do you guys like more, the cold humidity or the warm humidity?
I
prefer
think
the humidity.
yeah. I think cold humidity is worse for your joints, as my busted knee can say. So yeah, I think cold humidity.
Now, we're gonna be talking today a little bit about some comics and the projects they're working on. And so, Ebi, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with Decimators right now? I know you wrapped up the first season, but we're working on the print edition.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're looking at the third printed issue of Decimators, and this is when the story begins to get even more interesting, if I may say so myself, because it's when the guys begin investigating the source of all the disturbance in the otherwise pretty routinary world of slaying SJW zombies day in day out.
It's a thankless job to slay SJW zombies, isn't it?
Yeah, it can get boring, doing it all. It has a charm, but it wears off quite quickly.
Now, a big part of the Decimator storyline is these fanatical kind of members of the group called the Brothers of Decimation. I was curious, how did you kind of come to these group, and like what inspired you to create such a different dynamic?
Well, since I wanted to make it clear that while the SJW zombies are like a hive mind, like one cohesive force, the guys who oppose them are more human, are divided in factions, which is it's pretty much what's happening. But it happened both in Gamergate and in Comicsgate right now. People are divided into their own separate beliefs. The only thing that they have in common is that they oppose SJWs. So that's what I want to reflect in Decimators. The three guys themselves are pretty different among themselves. The three main characters. But I wanted to make it clear that there's lots of people of lots of different backgrounds all fighting together, and that's going to lead to some kind of conflict sooner or later.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
And everyone who's interested, we are going to be putting that out for pre-order sometime, I think maybe this week. So look for that soon. It's going to be a February release. So really excited. Go ahead.
It also has some tasty extras, right?
Right. Yes, that's right. There's even more bonus content. Each issue we're trying to bring something special to the table, and so this one's got a fun character sheet. It's got all information about Barbarian, and then there's a nice, fun original concept art, I believe, for the Decimators. So that's pretty awesome stuff in there.
I wanted to get rid of something, a bonus for buying it in print, because if they already can, get it all by reading the online version, we need more bigger incentive to.
Exactly, and it kind of rewards the long-time reader as well. Someone who's been sticking with the series, they're still, like you said, they're still getting that fresh content with it. So yeah, definitely. That was definitely one of our goals with that. I think it's been working really well. The editions are coming out real nice. I love the landscape format.
Yeah, me too. I saw the mock-up you sent me for the cover, for the wrap cover, and it looks really good. I really like it, and it's the back blurb is really humorous. I get slightly dumb when I don't have Google to look the words up. It looks. I like how it's gonna come out.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun way to frame it. There's I won't tease too much from it, but there's a nice line on the back that starts with "fun with guns and girl talk." And I
Yeah,
just thought
I like that.
that was a great line. So yeah, it's going pretty well. And that cover you came up with, man, you painted that fast.
Yeah, right. I mean, I completely forgot, but I didn't forget. But I forgot that the deadline was so soon. So when you sent me the mail, I was, oh shit, I gotta come up with something fast. I began scribbling and scanning, and I think I broke my own record this time. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks incredible. It's really cool. Which character is that again on the front? Is that Sister Purge?
That's Purge. That's
Okay.
one of the two fanatical brothers of Decimation.
Nice. Yeah, I like their characters. They're quite interesting. I didn't expect them to come back after the last issue.
Yeah, I kind of like them because they're hard for me to write because they don't think like I do at all, and that was interesting, and not make them look like villains either, because I really don't like to, everyone thinks he's doing the right thing, and I wanted to reflect that in the character.
I think that's pretty well reflected in a lot of the characters in Decimators. They all they think that they're the ones on the right side.
Yeah, that's the thing that I wanted to reflect, that none of them are really evil. The only ones that you could really describe as evil are the zombies, because they're so fanatic that they're lost their humanity. They're more like insects or machines now. But the humans, I really wanted there to be. I really wanted it to be complex, as opposed to the SJW zombies, because the SJW zombies are like single-minded, and the humans are more complex. They have more things going on.
That's interesting. Yeah, and you call them drones, is that right?
Yeah. I like to. Everyone calls them zombies, but I wanted to call them drones just to to stand out,
to distinguish it a bit. And they don't act like normal zombies. I mean, as you read, you start to realize that. Well, even from the first issue.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't want them to be zombies because I think zombies are a bit overused nowadays. So I wanted to reflect the whole the world going to hell scenario, but different twist. So they act more like like the aliens, like the xenomorphs or something like that, like a half mind. They have a single purpose, and they all have to adhere to that.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. I can't wait for everyone to see the next issue come out. How are things going with your project, Heavy Tank?
It's going well. I've actually managed to get somebody to help out, do some translation work, because throughout the story there are certain parts where some characters speak with their universal translators turned off. So for all intents and purposes, they speak their native language. Now, obviously, as I stated, that these languages, like Volgan, is patterned on current-day Russian. So I actually found somebody on Twitter who's helped me go through the translations, which were machine translations, and fixed some glaringly obvious errors. Because I think, as anybody found, machine translation is, for lack of a better term, very inaccurate.
Yeah.
And tends to take some liberties. So that forms part of out of the 6-part volume 1. That's just 1 or 2 words in volume 2-ish, and bigger pieces of dialogue around volume 4.
Okay, interesting.
So
yeah.
What language is it? Just a little bit more, to give it a little bit of a personal flair.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I love when there's that kind of different languages going on in a book. It kind of really just adds an element of globalness. So it kind of makes it bigger than just one location. I think it's pretty cool. And are you able to share it? Can you share with us what language it is, or are you keeping that under wraps at this time?
Well, like I stated, it's the language in the story is called Volgan. Although, like I said, it's from the people from planet Volga speak it. So,
and that was based on Russian, right?
Yes, that is correct. And the other main language that I've played around with is a fiction. I call it Tenjin, which is based on a Japanese deity. So obviously the whole Japanese thing with planets Amaterasu. So the natives of that planet speak Tenjin. So I'm still looking around to get assistance with, because there are bigger pieces of dialogue. Now, either the characters speak with the translator turned off for reasons they don't want other people to hear what they are saying, or in the case of Amaterasu, it is a cultural thing. They don't speak with translators turned on because they view it as a symbol of disrespect. So for them, if any foreigner goes there, they either have to speak through a translator or know the language themselves to speak it.
Huh. Wow, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to ask, what is because the idea behind these different planets is kind of that humanity has moved off of Earth and started cultivating these new planets to live on. And what is their relationship, the various planets? What are their relationships back with their counterparts back on Earth? Is it a good relationship or a bad one?
Earth, for lack of a better term, is pretty much a no-go zone. It's a barren wasteland that has been bombed out of existence with, well, there's still people living there, but it's pretty much been ravaged by so much internal war. That is why the people left the planet in the first place, to escape the constant war with a global hegemony, a global government that took over, that pretty much pushed extremist ideology to such a degree that people just decided to leave. The catalyst was various civil wars in the early 21st century that just made people decide, no, we've had enough. We are getting the hell off this planet. To the point where this government, the Terran Ascendancy, has essentially banned space travel. So for all intents and purposes, the colonies, they view Earth as a past that they would rather not remember. But as things go with humanity, we are repeating our mistakes once again, with the fact that all the planets exist in the story, exist in a kind of cold war that is pretty much ready to go hot at any moment for whatever reason.
Kind of like a parallel in our own history. And so does this take place in our world, just in the future, or is this an alternate world? What would you consider it?
All our history up until current is pretty much established, and from there on it goes forward. So our own current history is there, it's established. That is because I reference a few old, they refer to anything from Earth as old Earth, because the Earth that is remembered for the most part in their history books has probably been rewritten by this new global government a la 1984. So there is an unquestioning belief that this is the way it's always been on Earth, but the colonies that escaped know the true past and everything, and they preserve that history. So they can trace the lineage to where their various families and things come from, or if they want to go that far down the line genetically, but it doesn't really matter, because for all intents and purposes, the solar system, our solar system as we know it, has been labeled as dead. You know, don't go there. There's nothing there. There's nothing of value to be gained. All the planets.
It kind of reminds me of Dune. I just wanted to say that it kind of reminds me of Dune. The two big families, you know, the Atreides and the Harkonnen, can be traced back to the old Earth, and the Atreides are like this mythical Greek family. Now, I like that idea.
So, for whatever reason, the surnames, names, and things used by numerous characters, you'll probably be able to see that even though it's 900 years into the future from our own current time, it's the names and everything are still pretty much the same. It's just the fact that with everybody that splits, if you do go to a certain planet, you will find a planet that they are speaking Latin on again. You might find a planet that speaks pure Spanish. all those, or whatever derivative they decided to create of it, or in the case of one of the major planets, like I said, the planet Volga, which is based on Russia, or planet Blood River, which draws inspiration from South Africa's history. Things like that. So all of this kind of forms part of how the whole universe is.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping to convey a good story.
Yeah, I like how it. You've kind of not. It's it's a space story, but and it's takes place in the future, but it's informed by the past and what's come before it. It sounds like
it's more just to flesh out the story that I use our own current history, which is already rather rich. So it's to give a grounding for anybody to read the story. So it's not going to be this fantastical far future story where there's no touchstone for anybody to gather to, so the languages, the customs, the way the cities look, as I will try to describe them, people will be able to draw some sort of parallel in their mind's eye. So if I have to take the capital city of Planet Liberty, Fort Vanguard, think any modern day metropolis in the States, but obviously add on a healthy dose of high technology onto that.
Whereas I'd imagine in like Amaterasu, they'd be more traditional Japanese styles of buildings.
Yeah. Or alternatively, if you go to a planet, like say Planet Blood River, it's small settlements, mostly farmland. And if you go to Planet Volga, the majority of the planet, where place people live, they all live underground due to the long and rather fierce winters that they have there. On Volga, the winters last a standard duration of Earth time, in, let's say, around 4 years.
Jeez, that's some Game of Thrones stuff right there. That's a long.
Yeah. But that also the styles their equipment and how they fight. So they operate very lone wolf-like, and the majority of how they soldiers deploy is they prefer long-range sniper-style engagements. So if they use infantry, it will be snipers with heavy caliber anti-material rifles and things like that, trained in evasion, so that they'll know how to use the forests or anything like that. Or even if you put them in an urban environment, they'll be extremely deadly fighters. But even at that, when they do deploy in, say, a more traditional fire team, they're just as deadly, just as capable, and then they'll switch over to their assault rifles or whatever else weapons that they'll improvise, or just hand-to-hand combat, and they'll be equally deadly.
Jeez. Wow, so it's, I love that you've got such a fleshed out world. It seems like you spent a lot of time making sure that you had a really solid universe kind of established before going into the story itself. Was that
the benefits of having sat on it for a while. I do have a slight confession to make on it. I unfortunately have lost a lot of the original files and details when a hard drive crashed. So I have rewritten quite a bit from memory.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough.
It happens. But right now, I'm probably around 45% rewritten on where I was.
Okay.
And that's just on the background documents.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that was mostly the like you said, the more background information that you lost as opposed to actual story then? Or like actual writing content?
Just and stuff.
Wow.
Everything else, the story itself was only recently that I started writing that.
I see. Okay, let's go hold on to that.
Yeah, no, it's I'm making constant backups. Now the law documents add more things in it, like past events, major events, and things like that, like the Port Lavaca incident, which, for all intents and purposes in the story, caused the governments and rulers of all the various planets to essentially relegate the immortal breakers and ethers to second-class citizens, only through loopholes in certain laws or things like that, or if they've obtained favor with a certain ruler of a planet, could they then proceed to own property? But if it's just a person that's now become reborn, they will not be able to hold property. They would not be able to start a family, which means the immortals of my story have to fall onto the less savory sides in terms of employment. They become gangsters, they turn to mercenary work, they join the military, but they'll never, go past any sort of meaningful rank. They'll probably never even reach non-commissioned officer rank. So for instance, they'll always remain foot soldiers. Or with the fact that they do not get diseases or anything, they will obviously turn to slightly more things like, say, prostitution or drug running or things like that. So being an immortal in the story is not a surefire way of, hey, I'm immortal, I can do whatever I want. It's a shitty existence for the most part.
And it never ends.
Nope. So that's why they find other ways to live, and then obviously other things like the narcotics, military operations, things like that. The stuff that flesh out the story in and of itself, and things like that. The character biographies and all those things. That was what was lost, not the actual story itself.
Yeah. Wow. So that's been I bet a lot of work trying to get that back up and running.
As of currently, I'm up to 25 pages and 12,000 words.
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Yeah, like I said, that's around 45% of where I was.
Okay, so about another 1,000 at least, probably, right?
Quite a few pages to go, yeah.
Well, that's cool. When are you planning on trying to put out your first book? Then have you thought about that yet?
In terms of dates, at the rate I'm currently going, and with things that I still need to put again into place, like the logo and a cover, I'm probably at this point in time going to tentatively look at second half 2019.
Okay, nice. Yeah,
might be earlier, but 2019 is the year. But which half and which month is unfortunately still up in the air.
No, I get that. It's a lot with such a project, a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. Definitely takes a lot.
Yeah. And then obviously there's still some art that needs to be finished.
Yeah, how is that coming
up? The melee weapons for the main cast are done, and one of the villains. So it's now just one more character that has to have the melee weapons drawn up, and then it's time to start looking at the firearms and the armors themselves that the main characters use, but also in terms of how the armors look. The characters don't wear special suits of armor, as it were. They wear patterns that all the normal militaries would wear, but obviously theirs will be slightly customized or different based on, personal preference or how they fight and things like that. So Gunner Stone, which he uses L5X Guardian Assault armor. Now, the thing about that is there's two variants of L5 armor. The L5X variant, which deploys the massive M227 retribution cannon, or the L5N armor, which has become the standard issue for all military personnel in either the Blood River military or the equipment. Just a few firearms difference. The main difference, obviously, thing with the L5N armor was designed to be more maneuverable and more mobile on the battlefield than L5X armor, which has fallen out of favor due to it being slow, cumbersome, and obviously, like I said, because it uses this massive gun, it has a very large profile on the battlefield, so it's very visible. And to deploy the weapon, it has to entrench itself, otherwise you can't fire it due to the recoil generated. So yes, you've got a lot of firepower, but if a soldier wears this, they'll be very susceptible, and they will require a squad to back them up to prevent the enemy from flanking them. L5N armor was designed and created to circumvent this, obviously with a knock-on firepower. So you do not have this massive gun available anymore, but now you can have access to the M105 Retaliator machine gun, or if you really want to go down that route, they could also decide to use the M150 Juggernaut 80mm recoilless rifle.
And these are still firing traditional rounds then?
Some weapons fire traditional rounds, but all weapons are rail assisted, so they do have some form of linear acceleration technology to aid in muzzle velocity and provide additional armor piercing capability.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's traditional, but still more advanced because of the feature date. So there's added things and new features and.
Yes, and each armor does come with a nanomachine ammunition forge. So either that whole equation of the supply line has been cut out entirely, as any soldier will have a nearly limitless supply of ammunition.
Jeez. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
But once we get to that part, the little spoiler here, the main antagonist force of the story, Planet Rhine, they use vat-grown troops and mass-produced equipment. So cheap armor, basically just to be able to get them into the field, pre-programmed instruction sets. So they're like drones, organic drones that they deploy onto the battlefield, and they use them to overwhelm and tire the opposing fighting force, because you can't wait for them to run out of supplies, out of ammunition, but you can, because they're still only human, you can fight them to a standstill and tire them out, and then deploy your actual troops, the guys that can actually think for themselves, to go take the objectives. Now the opponent has been worn down to such a degree that they won't be able to put up any sort of effective resistance. Now, the way you could circumvent this is to say, if your military does have one or two ethers or breakers in the mix, but obviously you can't make out an entire military out of them, because there is a limit as to how many of these individuals are in the world, in the universe. 1,000, as I've established previously.
That's interesting. And so will combat play a heavy role in the series in certain aspects?
Yes. Yes, it's a very, very action heavy series. There's each part of the story, parts 1 through 6, have very large action set pieces, either larger ones that focus on overall combat or more personal one-on-one style combat. So in part 2, the Siege of New Britannia, there is a part where one of the 3 antagonists, Arsenia Australis, actually faces down against Amber Blackburn. Now, I'm not going to spoil why that happens, but it makes for a very, very good, cool fight in my mind, the way I've written it. And that's how most of these fights go. So there's going to be a lot of action.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think people can really look forward to that, because I know for me personally, I love sci-fi novels, but there tends to be a lot of downtime in a lot of them. So that's pretty cool, actually, because I do love an exciting book,
Yeah, I do play around with how the action is presented, why it happens. It's not just, okay, cool, this happens and now there's a fight. No, I actually do I'm trying to show a build up as to why the fights happen and things like that.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that gives more reward and payoff once it does go down,
The reason why the fighting happens. Yes, like I stated, there's a Cold War going on, and in some cases, if we go to part 4, the war inside, there is actually a civil war, but there's also a naval engagement in space. So I've also tried to incorporate a few things like that. And as most people who have been floating around on Twitter and have been following all the indie comics and things, there are, in some spots, cameos of certain characters and people and individuals, either their name or an actual character or a version of that character included. and already pre-cleared with the creators or the people themselves. So there are some cameos and things coming for people to look out for.
Oh, that's cool. That's gonna be a nice little fun bonus for people to kind of like try and find.
For some of them are like literally the name pops up. It's one of those hit and miss. It's blink and you'll miss it, or these characters are actually going versions of those characters that are introduced, and they will stay with the series as it goes on.
Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome. Sounds like there's a lot to look forward to in the coming months for your series then.
It's mostly just legwork, editing, and it's the grunt work right now. It's just to seriously make sure it's all clean, tidy, polish. That's,
I get that.
That's what it's all about right now.
I'm doing that right now on my light novel, and geez, it takes so long just to go through it.
Yeah, I have recently had somebody proofread and provide feedback on part 1. I've finished edits based on that feedback. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they pointed out a lot of silly little mistakes I made and things like that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that'll happen.
I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for the brutal and honest feedback that they provided.
Right. Sometimes you got to be brutal with it. You know, that's sometimes.
It's the only way. It's the only way it'll grow and improve.
That's right. So you got to be good with criticism. You know, it's all in good critique. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's exactly the way I look at it. I even told them, don't hold back, because up until now, people who have read it online and everywhere else, they're like, yeah, this is good. I like this, but nobody provided me with any sort of feedback. So I was like, yeah, are they just trying to spare my feelings?
What was that?
Can it be because you? I was going to say, can it be because you show it to your friends, as I did, and your friends will always tell you that it's great, especially if they're not professional writers or artists. But when the first time you put it out there for people you don't know, or for people who expect a professional quality, a professional level product, they will tear you to shreds. They will go at the jugular, man. And I appreciate that as well, as as Tank said. It only made me better. I regret nothing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was gonna ask you how it compared working with working with editors and people who do care, as opposed to being on your own like you've done with Decimators. Yeah,
no, at least I've worked with Zach, and with Zach's pretty tough. Zach will tell you, I don't like this. It looks too cartoonish. Redraw this, redraw that. Until he gets what he wants. So
wow.
It's been a good experience. It's been a learning experience, and as I said, I regret nothing. I think I can say I've grown up as an artist in just over a year. So yeah, I mean, keep the criticism coming, as long as it's it's not mean-spirited, as long as it's well intended, as in they want you to be better. I say yeah, keep it up.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's constructive, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to ask you guys, and you guys are both really busy with your projects and all, but do you guys ever find time to get down and read some comics? What was one of the last comics you guys read?
Ooh, I actually have a bit of a backlog, but I have been working through it.
Really? What
finished?
Works you've been doing or reading?
Well, the majority are ones that I either got through various Indiegogo backings or the ones I buy off of Comic Central. So I recently finished reading the Intel Forkman Goes to Japan Volume 1, which they put back up there. And I've still got Volumes 2 and 3 to read through. I love it. It's I'm actually happy that more people will be able to get it now, because I know a lot of people don't really like the whole digital thing, but let's be honest, it's going to be one of the easiest ways for people to get their books out there. And another one that I'm happy that I received the digital fulfillment for it was the Punchline ones that I also backed on Indiegogo. That's a treat. Bill Williams and Matthew Weldon and whoever the colorist is, that is such great work. And then obviously finally the other one that I read is Rags Volume 3. Also.
Oh, wow.
Highly recommend it. I still am quite behind on my backlog. I'll get around to those now. I have a few reviews I need to get out. Oh, and I almost forgot about Sarah Volume 1. TKO, you know, the guys from TKO.
Oh, yeah.
They offer the first volume for free.
Oh,
very good. I can recommend that one.
How do you?
Yes. You just go onto their website and they offer you the first volume for free to download.
Damn, not bad deal.
No, it's not. I actually want to look at picking up the rest of them as well. Then another one that I'm still going on what I read. Next Gen, the Gilgamesh Connection. This is done by another artist on Twitter, JD Dishman. It's actually a very fun little comic. It's like $1 or $2, so it's not a lot, even if you take into account the silliness with exchange rate. Fun, great little comic to read. I can recommend that one as well, also from Comic Central. And then as for backlog, this is where things get a little bit, like I said, a little bit nasty. I still got 7 Legions to read. Another one from, well, like I said, the majority of the comics are from Comic Central. Spokesman Goes to Japan, Volume 2 and 3. And what else? The one by Purity Sin, also on Twitter. Her comic, Chaotic Stories, Hell O'Dolly.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'll get you the link shortly. Yeah, no, she's normally a Let's Play streamer on YouTube, who's also been working on a comic. She focuses on some rather odd games sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, the comic itself is drawn very well, and the story is, from the few pages that I've read thus far, it's very fun. So I'll just quickly get the link and drop it into the chat here on Google Hangouts, and you can take a look at it when you get a chance.
I can, and then once you put it in here, I'll go ahead and post it to the YouTube so everyone who's watching can check it out as well.
Yeah, and I'll get you the other one as well for Gilgamesh Connection. This is actually the second one this guy put out, but it's also, like I said, it's a fun. It's $2. It's not really that much. It's for me.
So you're pretty into the indie scene in terms of digital, it sounds like. Pretty big.
Yeah, no, these guys they're fully digital. You download the PDF and it's yours. So
makes it easy.
Read it from there. Yeah, and they do multiple downloads, so you can download onto your PC, onto your tablet. So you always have access to your comics, and it's great to read. The guys from Comic Central, they do good work, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have a really nice operation going. You know, yeah. So what have you been reading, Ibai? You got anything on your backlist that you've been working on?
Oh boy, I've been having the time of my life because I bought for like 15 euros, which is about around $16, the whole Siege of Darkness collection, from the early 90s, the whole Morbius, Ghost Rider, Night Stalkers crossover.
Oh, okay.
I bought all the floppies for like $15. I think it's like 20 of them. And I had them bound in a book cover, nice and shiny. And I've been reading them for like a month now, and I'm having the time of my life.
That's pretty epic, man.
I've gone back to the 90s, but with a nice package, or bound in hardcover and stuff. And I've also been alternatively reading Josh Finney and Pat McAvoy's Case File Arkham Volume 2. It's really great. It's really great. It's a really good comic. It's Lovecraftian noir, It's the story of a private detective who looks like Robert Mitchum. That's always a plus. Who investigates, old ones related mysteries in a 1930s Arkham theme metropolis.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. Yoshihiro is really good at creating mystery and tension. He's good at making page turners, so I highly recommend that.
Nice. That one, I believe both volumes are now available on Amazon. I believe.
Yeah, they're both on Amazon, and I recommend them. And I don't know if it counts as a comic, but I've also been reading Blake Northcott's the North Valley Grimoire.
Yes, I believe that is that a light novel or
Yeah,
some.
it's a young adult novel. It's all written, it's all in prose, and it's quite entertaining too. It's got this. I'm trying to find a genre to put it in. It's like a young adult novel, but it's kind of like Hellblazer because there's characters. It's like modern day fantasy, like urban fantasy, and it's about teenagers that get in over their heads when they began investigating a mystery, and there's magic and a secret government agency involved. And I won't say no more so as to not spoil anything. But it's a great read. It's a great read, and I really like the packaging. The packaging it's comes all in like, don't open this book by order of the so and so government agency. Do it under your own risk. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yeah.
And the art's supposed to be really nice as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's got some really nice interior illustrations. I think the cover illustration raised some controversy because the main character Callista is wearing a miniskirt.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good gate.
Such
I
a.
mean, go figure.
I remember. I think I saw a post by Blake Norcott where she said, "Each iteration of this character, her skirt gets shorter."
Blake Northcott has all my respect because she keeps shit posting about it. She won't back down.
Right.
She stands her ground.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Feel nothing but respect for Blake Northcott.
Yeah, she's a great writer and really amazing what she's been able to accomplish. Very very.
Yeah, no, she's great with she's a great public relations girl.
True. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big part of being a creator, I think.
I keep saying that it's the new department in which we all should be careful. The customer thing now with the internet and the networking and all that. And you gotta be extra nice to your readers. You gotta be extra nice to your customers. And for example, Blake Northcott and Peter Simeti from Alterna, I think they're the best two examples I can think of right now.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Oh, you two guys are also pretty amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
I didn't want to let you out.
Well, I have a backlog myself. Geez, it's like so tall. It's like a stack of books, but I've been working on the Hellblazer trade paperback for a while. I'm on volume 21 right now. So pretty far into the series, but I don't know if either of you read Hellblazer before?
Oh yeah, no, I love Hellblazer.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's actually my first. I've picked it up about 2-3 years ago, and for the first time, and just been reading it ever since. And yeah, I love it. It's unlike anything I'd ever read before.
Yeah, I remember I picked up the first trade paperback when I was around, I don't know, 17, something like that. It's called Original Sins. And I picked it up in a library. I didn't know what it was about. I only know that a lot of people talked about it in the reader's mail section and stuff. And whoa, it's amazing! I can't wait for the next issue of Hellblazer. And I said, okay, I was more into Aliens, Predator, and Terminator, and all that kind of stuff when I was in my late teens. And I picked this thing up, and I was instantly hooked. It was great. It was.
That's awesome.
I love how they mixed current political themes without being without beating you over the head with it. and magical stuff and demons and all that. I was instantly hooked and loved.
Yeah, I love that too. Jeremy Delano, the original writer on that arc, his like as you said, his political savvy, and especially being set in Great Britain with the Thatcher and everything that was going on in that time period, and it's such an interesting point of view that he brings across, and it's very cynical, but it's also very real, and it just I don't know, it just really works for me.
And I love how he's able to make you relate to Constantine, even though he has like next to zero redeeming qualities.
Right.
He's a complete asshole.
Yeah. And yet we still care about him and what happens.
You still root for him. It's I think that's a sign of good writing, right?
Right. I think you're right. Yeah. That must be a tough line to walk, keeping him hateable and yet likable at the same time. But yeah, so that's mostly what I've been working on lately on my list.
No, it's a great choice to read.
Yeah. So what are you guys going to be working on next? What's up next in your guys' docket?
For me, preliminary planning on volume 2 has started, and I am scripting an under wraps. That's our way. And then once I've got that done and gone through all the usual drafts, I'm hoping to eventually find and fund an artist for this.
Sorry, I on my end it cut out. The second project, what was that again? Oh, you said you were. I didn't quite hear what that was.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Sorry. Yeah, you cut out there for a second. Are you back now?
We'll see. The connection, like I said, is a little bit.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like we were good to go now.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Like I said, I've started planning on the preliminary planning out of how volume 2 is going to proceed for Dreams of Peace and Acts of War, and there is, like I said, a comic that I'm currently scripting. It's going to be a limited 3, maybe 4 issue run. So
that's cool. And is this a completely separate from your novel series?
Entirely separate. New characters, new story, everything.
Jeez, that's cool. That's awesome.
If I have to give a small teaser on it, just to give you an idea, a lot of sexy and a lot of dead demons.
Whoa, sexy and dead demons. Couldn't be a better combination. Because if they're alive, then that's bad. Unless they're, I won't make you go too much into it. But no, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to have to drop off here because everybody's starting to sound like robots. Thank you very much for having me, and hopefully the next time my connection is a bit more stable.
Sounds good. Thanks again for joining us. Take care.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Well, it's just us now, Canales. It's
finally
all the time, right? Gosh, now we can get that one-on-one with Canales that everybody so desires.
I'll pop up on the champagne.
Oh, good. It's time to celebrate. So what is new in your world? I mean, how are you staying busy these days?
Well, I'm trying hard to finish the Abductables for good old Michael Derrick. I'm on page, I think, 34, something like that. So yeah, I'm about to begin drawing the final act of the story now. So
is it a graphic novel?
It's a one shot. It's 52 pages, if I remember correctly.
It's a good size one shot.
Yeah, no, it's a decent. Hopefully people will think that the price is worth it, and they'll be happy to pay for it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's looking really good. I just saw one of the pictures. I think I'm not sure what the main character's name is, or if he's the main character, but the human character.
Yeah, the big guy with the 2 guns.
Yeah, he's crushing this like an alien skull into a bloody pulp.
Yeah, no, that's the main character. I'm trying to be sparse with the images I post because I don't want to spoil anything. There's a twist to the story, as I think it was to be expected. It's not all killing aliens all the time. which isn't bad either. It's not a bad prospect either. But I'm having the time of my life drawing that comic. As I always say, it's probably the funniest thing I've done, and I'm happy to be on board.
Is it even bloodier than Decimators?
Yes, because it's much more gratuitous. Decimator has this slightly dramatic twists to some things. Some characters die and you feel sorry for them. This is just a murder party non-stop 24/7.
Wow, that sounds awesome. No wonder it's a one shot. There's not gonna be much left after he's done with that ship.
Yeah, I think he has the same problem as the Punisher has, that he doesn't have recurring villains because he kills them all the first time he meets them.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Jigsaw. I guess he wears a particularly thick bulletproof vest or something, but I've never heard about recurring villains for Punisher.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, that's awesome. So Abductables is going well, and then what about your other side project?
Yeah, that's Necromancer Tombstone Blues, written by Jacob Morris, great guy, and who's an amazing world builder. We have to introduce him to Tank, because those two guys are the most complex world builders that I've ever met. You can tell they're both influenced by Warhammer. And yeah, it's the story about a necromancer for hire, a private necromancer who's investigating a murder in a magical, mythical themed metropolis. It's urban fantasy noir, so to speak, set in a parallel world of it's kind of like Bright, except it's not as bad, I hope.
And there's no Will Smith.
Yeah, no, that's always a plus, not having Will
Smith. Oh man. Well, I love the concept of it, because the art, the way you've brought across the art and conveyed the setting, I think is really good, because you instantly get both the vibes of technology. Like, you can see it almost looks like a cyberpunk, and at the same time, it looks so occultish and dark and mysterious. And I just think that's something so fresh that we haven't really seen much before.
Yeah, I admit I went back to my roots, and I read a lot of Enki Bilal. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who drew the I don't know what the title is in English. I think it's the Fair of Immortals, or the Immortals Fair, or something like that. But it's the story about Egyptian gods appearing in futuristic Paris. So it's got that same vibe of cyberpunk magic stuff, and so yeah, I went through that again, and I drew a lot of inspiration from that.
Looks like it's called in English a couple titles. It was known as the Carnival of Immortals.
Yeah, that's right, the Carnival of Immortals. Yeah.
It's also been published in English as Gods in Chaos.
Oh, that's a good title. It describes the story very well.
That's really cool. I want to check that out. I'm going to post the link in the chat. Carnival of Immortals. Now, it looks like it's part of a larger series. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's a trilogy, actually. I remember reading the first two, I think. The titles in English are probably completely different, because in Spanish and French, they don't sound as cool. They're pretty much, I think they're the Carnival of Immortals, the Trap Woman, as politically incorrect as that sounds. I swear, in French, the title is The Woman Who Is a Trap.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense when you read it that way, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the trap woman in Spanish, but I won't go around saying that out loud much.
Right, yeah, probably not very well. I don't know. It could fit somewhere in Decimators, maybe, but not.
No. I completely exhausted my incorrectness ammunition for Decimators. I can't be any more politically incorrect now.
Yeah, you need to take a break and reevaluate.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign up for gender studies now.
There you go. That's a good way to decompress after Decimators. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, the other two books entitled Cold and Ad Vitam. Like,
So
so
there you go. See, they're more palatable in English. They sound better.
they do, and it's all part of the what's called the Nikopol trilogy.
Yeah, the Nikopol trilogy. That's the main character who's I think he's if I remember correctly, yeah, he's a political prisoner. The story is quite complex. You can tell that it was written in the 70s, and they were doing a lot of drugs back in the day. But, yeah, it's the story of a political prisoner who's doing sentence on a cryogenic prison in orbit, and the guy falls to Earth from there's some kind of malfunction in the prison. It's a satellite, and the guy falls to Earth, and he loses a leg on impact, and just by chance he's possessed by Horus, the Egyptian god, and Horus says, I can go around using a body without a leg. I'll have to pick up a beam from a subway station and build a robotic leg. So there you go. That's just the first act of the story.
Wow. That's pretty out there for sure,
Yeah,
That's
it's quite a European.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. And the edition I posted has all 3 books in it, looks like.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Then I recommend it because the 3 separate books are kind of hard to come by in my experience.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like it's 21 still in stock. It looks like not see, I don't know for sure if they're all new. No, it looks like they're mostly used actually. So yeah, it must be pretty hard to get then, yeah.
Yeah, I remember them from my childhood, and I was only able to get my hands on one because I found the modern reissue on the college library. They were selling it, so
Uh-huh.
I went and bought it. I've never been so lucky again.
And it's if anyone wants to drop it, it's like $70 for a new one, but it's $20 for the used edition. So that's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, no, you go for the used edition.
Yeah,
you go for it. Actually, I got requests from Twitter people to to review obscure Spanish and European comics. So I might have to do this more often. People seem to be interested in it.
Yeah.
Now that the
Paulo in the chat says he bought he was asking about the book that I mentioned, the trade paperback version, and he also says that he bought Exterminator 17 a couple of years ago. It was drawn by Bilal and written by Jean-Pierre Dionnet.
yeah.
Co-creator of the Metal Hurlant magazine.
Yeah, that's a great book. I have it too. I have it here too, and I think I bought it in a flea market. Again, I was extremely lucky to find the copy because I think it's been out of print for years now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's obscure European stuff.
A lot of that European stuff is hard to come by, I'd imagine.
Yeah, especially if you're lucky, in Spain we used to be pretty big on comics until the mid-90s, I think. So we did publish a lot of obscure European stuff, but it's almost impossible to find that stuff nowadays. So yeah, if you can come by any of the works of Enki Bilal, as Paulo Costa here says, like Exterminator 17 of the Nikopol trilogy, go for them because they're mind-blowing and they're my inspiration for the graphic inspiration for Tombstone Blues.
Wow, that's really cool. I'll have to read that then because I love the way you've done that, and I think I could really get into that and that style. It's really interesting. It's kind of a unique take. So we're ending up the first hour here. We're gonna be bringing on the Mythoverse. Did you want to stick around, Canals, or are you gonna be heading out?
Maybe for a short while.
Sure.
Just to make them feel comfortable.
Right. So we'll have Brett and Matt come on in when they're ready, and in the meantime, we'll keep setting it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. Yeah, I was just looking at Decimator's the second volume today, and I really love the way it came out.
Yeah, I'm proud of what you guys did. I mean, I'm proud of my comic, and I'm proud of the way you published it. Hey, Brett.
Hey, Canals.
Hey,
I just
welcome.
I just pinged Matt over Slack, so he should be on shortly.
Oh, there he is. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Welcome, Matt.
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 Matt, is your headset fucking up again?
No.
Welcome, guys.
I mean, it pretty much has a special hatred of you, I guess.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Thanks for joining us on this nice Sunday morning. I appreciate your time.
It's not so nice over here. It snowed.
Oh.
What are you talking about? What's snow?
You lived in Michigan. Don't deny it.
We only have
No,
rain and hail here.
Lived past tense, Matt. I live in
Yeah, but you know
Washington.
what? Yeah, but you know what snow is.
I think he blocked it from his memory. It's like a tragic past.
Yeah, because nothing ruins your snow day like having to spend the whole morning shoveling the driveway.
Oh yeah, see that's the thing. I always thought about that. It's like, yeah, it's a snow day, but yeah, you got to shovel the driveway. It's like, geez.
Yeah, you just get up. You wake up. You see there's just a ton of snow on the ground. So you go on. So you check the TV. You see, oh come on, please tell me my school's closed today. It is, and then you think you're gonna cool. I get the day off, and Dad says you're gonna go shovel the driveway.
Classic move. It's funny. I live in California, so I've never had a snow day before. That's so beyond my imagining.
Yes, when it snows too much, people get the day off, or so I heard. My school was never closed.
Oh, well, that's not fair.
You see, Matt lives on the crappy side of Michigan. He lives on the east side. The good side is the west side.
So you both were from Michigan? Did I get that right?
No. I'm from Washington. I got the birth certificate to prove it. I just moved around a lot.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. How do you like the two sides of the country? Like, do you have a preference where you living at?
West Coast is best coast.
Hey, don't let the East Coasters hear you say that. They'll attack you.
The East Coast.
Oh, blasphemy! How dare you, sir? we have a couple East Coast guys.
I'm just saying, New York can suck it.
Dang, you heard it first, guys. You can suck it.
I was going to say that I'm an adoptive New Yorker, but now I'm not so sure anymore.
So Mike,
I go to New York. I go to New York every year, man. I like it there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I get to meet some of my shitposting friends this year. They bought me beers, and I bought them beers.
That's pretty nice, dude. That's
to be honest, I won't pretend that I'm not biased a little against New York just because I got friends in Jersey.
Well, I gotta say, I've also been to San Francisco, and I think it's a really nice town. Even though it's never sunny and warm there, it's always cold and rainy. But I like it nonetheless.
Yeah, San Francisco is great if you avoid the streets that are covered in shit.
Oh, just cover your nose. I was just there.
Actually,
I was.
No, I agree. They seem to have a problem with that. The whole people cheating on the sidewalk thing.
Well, yeah, I was just in San Francisco yesterday, and yeah, certain parts of the street you just like, oh, you have to cover up your nose because you're like, oh God, what is happening in this part of the city?
I gotta say, I went to Chinatown, and I was really disappointed that they didn't have a bronze statue of Kurt Russell there.
Well, they wouldn't. It'd be because if we're going by Big Trouble in Little China, they'd have a bronze statue of Wang.
Well, yeah, no, that's true too. Wang's supposed to be the hero, so yeah, I can see that.
So maybe they do have it, and you just weren't looking for the right statue.
Well, now I have an excuse to go back and look for one.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, how are you guys doing? How are things going along in the Mythoverse?
Progressing okay. Dan's been spending the weekend of getting some work done on the website. And,
Oh really? Yeah, how's that been going on the website?
Okay, so like we're gonna be having a dedicated website that I think Dan said we could have launched within the month. It's basically gonna be like a big centralized platform for everything Mythoverse related. Dan's basically been handling all the tech stuff of it because, well, that's his background. And shit, and I think he said this weekend he was because he had some time available, and it's just while he's been getting into his new job, that he could work on it. So
sounds like he's been really busy.
Dan is a workhorse.
Yep.
I think it's fair to say he probably works harder than me and Matt do.
Really?
Well,
He's It's
Yep.
funny. Wasn't he the newest addition to the Mythoverse crew? Or did it all come together? Or actually, didn't it all come? I guess it all came together kind of under the three of your banner.
more or less? Yeah,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
The newer editions we're not allowed to talk about.
But that does bring up some interesting speculation for you out there. Look forward to some more news on that in the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Coming from but what can you tell us about the current slate of projects right now? Is there any juicy tidbits?
Well, what have we got, Matt? What can we tell them?
Well, I've got new. Right now, Beth is working on redoing the 5 pages that we initially did for Mythics. So, what's going to happen is that maybe sometime in the next month, I'll be tweeting out comparisons. On one side, you'll have the old pages. The other side, you'll have the new pages, so you can see how much he improved over the past 2 years.
And did you post one of those for us? For us personally to see, or a little while ago?
Yep.
I was gonna say the art looks really good, and I was like, I can see what you mean. To be honest, like I was like, it's a refining of skill to me. It looks like a style that's finding its own unique way of looking, and I really like that.
Yeah, that's what makes her appeal to me, because she's always updating her artistic ability. She's improving.
Wow, that's really cool. It's never good to just rest on your laurels. It's always good to be trying to advance yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you don't push yourself to be better, you won't get anywhere.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you'll just stay stagnant. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, challenge yourself. Go outside your comfort zone, and all that.
Yeah, true, huh? And that's not easy for some people, I think.
No, but we live in a world where it's adapt or die.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. It's like they say in the Game of Thrones: you either play it or you die.
You win or you die.
I was thinking more like Evolution's catchphrase: "Adapt or perish."
Oh, nice, dude. Are you talking about Evolution with David Duchovny, that old movie?
No, Evolution with Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista and Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Wait,
The idea behind that stable was that you had 3 generations of wrestlers. Like Ric Flair was the past, Triple H was the present, and Randy Orton or Batista were the future.
Now I see it. Okay.
Also, I don't think anyone remembers that movie. It wasn't
Whoa,
half bad.
really? No one else, just me?
I remember,
I remember
it.
it.
But,
I remember it existed.
I
I
love
remember that they tried to make a cartoon off of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you?
I missed the cartoon.
Yep.
It's if anyone hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a very funny. It's probably one of David Duchovny's funniest roles, and it's a total X-Files rip-off parody, in a funny way. And
I think they tried to do Ghostbusters again, but with different casts and with a different subject.
I could see that too. Yeah, I could really see that because it does have that kind of really fun, really kind of out there, but really like exciting. It's an action-packed story for sure.
The vibe Evolution kind of gives me is that it's sort of like it's Men in Black, but if it starred Mulder.
Yeah, okay. There you go. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, totally. And it's got I can't remember his I know his character's name. I believe it's Ira no, it's what is it? Something Ira. But the actor's name is I don't know what his name is, but
Black guy, you mean?
yeah, the black guy. He's
Yeah, that's Orlando Jones, if I remember correctly.
yes, I believe that's right. Yeah, he's so good. I love him, and such a funny guy.
Yeah, the guy with the crazy eyes.
Yeah,
Orlando Jones.
that's right. Yeah,
I just pulled it up and it says it's Orlando Jones.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Him, and then Julianne Moore is also in it. It's a little bit of an older movie, so it's 2001. So, but it holds up, I think.
Actually, this is what surprises me. It has like an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has like 5 stars on Roger Ebert's site.
See, it's a pretty solid flick,
Man, this one flew under the radar.
Yeah.
I would have thought that Ebert would have given it 2 stars. Because Ebert was one of those film snobs.
Yeah, he definitely, he tends to generally go for the more artsy type,
He liked the Hulk.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Which one?
The first one.
Oh boy.
It's because of the hidden meanings of the Hulk.
The hidden meanings of the Hulk. Come on, that's pretty deep right there.
Yeah.
No counting states, I suppose.
Nope, he hated the Incredible Hulk.
Which actually was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, which is why he hated it.
I don't know. His favorite movie was Citizen Kane.
Yeah,
but like I said, he was one of those. He was one of those film snobs.
Actually, I kid you not, when my dad was living in Chicago, he was actually on an elevator with Gene Siskel.
Really?
My dad said the vibe he got off him was that he was a very arrogant douche.
Yeah, I could.
It's pretty usual with movie critics, in my experience.
Yeah, that is movie critics in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, I think about, honestly, I'd say like the best movie critic out right now is just James Rolfe, and that's just because he talks about movies like a regular guy, even though he does have like a film school background. He approaches it like he's a regular person.
Which is what will make people appreciate the critique more. It's more of they're looking at it. That kind of review style shows that the reviewer is thinking like them. They're not looking at from a artistic perspective. It's over whether or not they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's yeah. Not to derail too much, but yeah, there was actually does anyone remember a site called That Guy with the Glasses?
Oh yeah, I could barely stand that guy. Sorry,
Believe it or not, there was a time in my life where I was actually on that site religiously.
And that means a lot coming from you because you are religious.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, there was, and it's kind of amazing like how that style of reviewing was popular for a while. It's just like just go through the whole thing and just make fun of it. But it's like it kind of makes me feel like there was And it makes me feel like the Doug Walker. I'm not going to hold this against it because he couldn't have known this would happen, but it feels like he kind of set a really bad mold for what people thought reviewers should be like.
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
Again, like he could not have known that would happen, so I'm not holding that against him. But it's like for a while, just like that whole style of ripping something apart was just popular on the internet for like 5 years.
Basically, that came from Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they did for entertainment.
Yeah.
People started doing for critiquing, which it really wasn't made to be critical of movies.
Yeah, I know. I mean, fuck, even James Ruffalo, the angry video game nerd. I mean, like he was. I mean, I think it was around that time. I think he was starting to really sort of really hit what I think people consider as like his worst years, because that was when he started making his videos more about these jokes and sketches than he did about talking about what was wrong with the video games he was playing.
Yeah, there was this kind of trend of making like a parallel story with them, doing goofy stuff in front of the camera. I don't know, like the Linkara guy.
Exactly.
I remember I used to like Linkara a few years ago. He comes out like a pretentious douche.
Yeah, here's actually something I can actually remember a live stream like from back in the day where a guy said, like, I don't remember who it was that said this, but he said like Linkara just should not be allowed near a comic because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I've actually seen some people actually rip apart his material pretty thoroughly too.
I've actually ran into him at a convention at Yomacon, and I can confirm he does give off the vibe of being a pretentious douche.
Yeah. Kind of glad Zach sort of pulled everything back to talking about the actual product.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's always usually for the best.
Yeah.
Hey, weird.
I'm gonna drop off now that Matt's here. He can take on from me.
Well, for joining
All
with us around for a little bit. We appreciate you, and it's always good to have you. And honestly, I'm so happy you're back on Twitter, man. It's been.
It's not actually me though. It's my redhead secretary.
You're right.
Yeah,
there's a form of Canales you can say that we can interact with.
Right.
Yes,
we are able to connect through his secretary, and it is nice to be able to finally connect, even if it is through such a mediary as that beautiful. Oh my God, that beautiful secretary. Anyway,
Canales, tell your secretary not to get that account banned.
She's going to try, but she's a sultry one. She's tasty, so.
Well, she's a redhead, right?
Yeah, redheads. You can't reason with them, really.
Oh, dude, you got to think about it. Does it look good for the company if one of our guys keeps having accounts that keep getting kicked off Twitter?
Well, see, that's the thing. That was
optics, man. Optics.
We all can't escape controversy. Okay?
And that was Ibai Canales. You have to remember, that was Ibai Canales. This is not Ibai Canales. This is
Plus, you guys have to remember that my whole thing is that I'm a controversial dude. Decimators is a controversial comic. It's shitposting made comic, basically. So hey,
I was just editing volume 3, and man, it's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. Oh man! But thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Take care. We'll see you later.
Hasta mañana, dude.
Stay awesome, guys.
You too.
So Matt Bryant, welcome to the podcast. We have the other Wikid co-founder joining us now. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt.
Okay,
Sorry, take a moment. I've been kind of dealing with a bum shoulder for the past few days, so.
Sorry to hear that, man. That's
all good.
I've been dealing with a cold that I seem to be getting over pretty quickly.
Really? Ooh, that's awful. You managed to make it to the podcast, and you're even though you're under the weather.
No. Actually, here's the thing. I seem to be getting over it pretty quickly.
Oh, wow.
It's well, here's the thing. Like one day I just wake up with my throat feeling sore, and then and then next day, I mean, like I'm coughing a little here and there, but not really that congested or anything. It's like I don't think I'm really that sick.
Damn.
Which is amazing because it seems like every winter I can't get through it without at least getting a cold.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's bad luck. I can't remember the last time I was sick. Honestly, it's been years. You know, not to brag or anything, but
knock on wood.
Right? Seriously.
Hey, you better knock on wood, man.
There it is.
So, I get. Matt, do we have anything we can talk about that's Mythoverse related aside from the site where we left off?
Let's see. Is there anything cool that we could talk about? That you can think of?
The only thing I can bring up is that I forwarded Victor money for another page, but actually there was something, and this is not to knock against anyone else on Wikid. Actually, I would say this kind of is all Wikid. It kind of seems like we seem to bring in creators that understand the importance of aesthetics in comics. Like, and I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Like, it's not just art. Like, there's it's not just enough to be good at art. You have to have. Like, I do not know how many people understand just how important aesthetics are to a comic. Like, the right art style can actually make or break a book, as I've found out.
Yeah, no, I mean that is true. It all comes down to what people like and different different styles that people enjoy, and whether it flows well with the story itself. I think.
Yeah, I personally think that's what manga actually perfected. Really, is the aesthetic of each story. You could say, because each one, I mean, sure, you could say their generalities are pretty much the same, but once we get more deeper into the stories, their aesthetic just shines through. I mean, that's what separates One Piece from Dragon Ball. That's what separates One Piece from Naruto. You know, they're able to accomplish these things that most people can't.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, go ahead.
How is it Gintama separated from everything else when it's making fun of everything, Matt?
Because
there is an aesthetic in making fun of stuff.
Because it can seamlessly move from comedy to serious
on the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
But no,
I think I can remember in the first episode of the Shogun Assassination arc in Gintama, they had a bunch of Shogun doubles that were basically dressed up in costumes that were censored, but it did not take a genius to figure out what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Let's just say Shadow Squirt Juice more or less gives it away.
They're not very subtle, I suppose, are they?
No, it is not. In fact, oh my god, you want to know how shameless Gintama can be? There's actually a whole segment where Hijikata goes to a mayonnaise factory, and it is because that's his quirk. He likes mayonnaise on fucking everything. He just drowns shit in mayonnaise. He goes to a mayonnaise.
Right?
He goes to a mayonnaise factory, and it's a parody of Willy Wonka.
Oh God, no!
That's perfect.
Perfect. And then there's that final episode of the last season where they hold a trial over who's delaying the final chapter.
And it turns out to be the mangaka, who's a gorilla.
except that he's found not guilty. While various characters are found.
I gotta watch it, man. It sounds wild.
Well, there are some jokes that I think would not be appropriate for the stream, especially when you two will probably strike us for it. And to the point where I'm surprised that Funimation's picked it up.
Right, I'm kind of surprised myself that part of it's dubbed, but they never finished it.
I have to wonder how true that is, considering they picked up Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which had a character who was supposed to they had a character who was like a dragon lady whom made advances towards a 12-year-old boy, shall we say?
Well, it's anime. It's supposed with that. It's going to be cultural things that they're going to make exceptions for. But in Gintama, look up the Four Divas arc. There's a moment where a group of people who are, let's just say they don't.
They don't what?
Well, I'm just gonna say that their jokes. It's gonna be a joke that's going to be too far for Funimation, and that's probably why they didn't do that, and probably never will.
Yeah.
I think there's. Also, I think there was like, was it? Oh wait, there's also a clip where I shit you not, they go for a Donald Trump joke.
Oh boy, is that a newer one or an older one?
It's a newer one, but it fits within the context of the series.
I can't even imagine how, but I can't help but see to believe it. This doesn't even make sense. Like Gintama exists in like a futuristic Japanese world or something, or like it's our world.
It's supposed to be an alternate history, actually, because the premise is that aliens invade Japan during the Edo period, and so.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so Japan gets a lot of technology that basically pushes it like 100 years ahead.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. Yeah, I've never actually seen a single episode before. So but I've always thought about watching it. It does seem funny.
As someone who got into it through Matt, I'll just say that it's kind of slow to start.
Yeah,
okay.
you gotta lead it. It's going to get better as it ages, kind of like alcohol.
It depends.
Right, not all alcohol ages well.
Like there's a reason why you can get some wine and say this was clearly a bad year.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys would know. I mean, like you're in California, like the whole north half of the state is full of vineyards.
Oh yeah.
It depends on how far you go. If you're in my area, no, it's not vineyards. It's just
that's true. It's
woodland.
It's not everywhere, but there's enough of area in like Napa Valley and stuff, and
Napa Valley, Central Valley, and then like a little bit of South as well.
And then they blanket. There's so many vineyards. Yeah.
So you ever done the vineyard tour from Sideways?
What's that?
It's a movie where two guys go on a wine tasting trip through Napa Valley.
Oh yeah, I think is that the one with Paul Giamatti?
I think that is
Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, dude, I've seen that movie. That movie's crazy.
It's just everything that goes wrong along the trip.
Didn't American Dad make a parody of that?
I think so. They did.
Yeah, I think they did.
That's pretty good. Merlone Down Dirty Shame. Is that it, or let's see. That might be the episode name.
I don't remember. All I remember is that I think it was one where Roger tried burying Stan under the underground so that he could have Francine all to himself.
Well, enough talk on TV. Let's get back to Mythoverse. Yes. You know,
but yeah, like I said, everyone on Wikid, like they seem to have a good sense of aesthetics and.
Oh right, yeah,
and like it's especially important for like if you're doing like a fantasy book because like you sort of need to have that. Even if it's urban fantasy, like where you get like fantasy elements in a modern day setting, you still need a sense of aesthetics because like you kind of have to communicate that atmosphere somehow. That's like super important.
In a lot of ways, it's the first part that people see if they see a cover or they're seeing art. That's going to be their first impression. So I think you're right in a lot of ways. It is important to have that.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys have kind of cultivated a really unique look for all the various iterations of the Mythoverse.
Yeah, mine's definitely got more of an anime manga style, which, as Matt and our mutual friend Lenny has said, like if it had been done in any other style, like if it had been like something a bit more realistic, it probably would not come off as fun and youthful. It'd be sort of depressing.
Yeah.
And plus, I think, Victor likes being able to draw Maeve when she's cute.
I was just about to say, anime does really good, or anime manga does really good cute characters. You know, that's one of the strongest aspects that they do. And yeah, Maeve is just so iconic. I too couldn't really see her looking like anything other than how she does.
Which is weird because like I did not expect that to be a word people would use to describe her. It's like I kind of designed her to be nondescript and for it to not really stand out. I guess it's kind of like a bit of a One Punch Man thing, because like the guy who made One Punch Man, like he deliberately designed Saitama to not be impressive. And the thing, like he was designed to sort of not look like what you would imagine a superhero to look like, and the irony is that by trying to avoid that superhero look so hard, it ended up working in its favor.
And actually came out on top because of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what I can definitely say in my case, though. It's just like, because I mean, like it definitely. I guess if the Mythoverse has a mascot character, it's probably Maeve, which is not me dissing Adobe and Althea. Yeah, by the way,
dude, we totally need a Maeve plushie on this Wikid store. Oh my god!
If we can find a way to make
them, dude, I'm gonna look into it. Plushies, custom plushies.
No, wait, actually, I did think I found a site. I think the only problem is the only issue would be pricing.
Probably.
But yeah, I know. Actually, the only issue I would have with a plushie is you got to be able to take the hood off, because I know people would want to do that, and I know Ginger would love having a Maeve plushie on her computer desk.
Right? That'd be epic.
Oh yeah.
There's this website called Budsies. Be good to look into.
Yeah. But I'd say where Mythics and Adobe Kroger are concerned too, I mean, like that sort of sense of the aesthetic still plays in. I mean, like even though Dan's doing Adobe Kroger in black and white, there's still kind of this sense that there's still kind of that sense of aesthetic, like it had, like it's just stark black and white, but you can still kind of feel some kind of atmosphere from the pages, like he's shown off. Although I think a lot has to do with the fact that his guy Leandro is just such a good artist.
Yeah, the guy
really is
phenomenal. Yeah, his lines are so clean, and his anything is also precise, very very precise.
Yeah, it's like I'm amazed. If he doesn't have more published work, I'll be genuinely surprised, because he should have more. That guy should be published more.
And
he is too good to be working the indie scene.
He's not on Twitter yet, is he?
No, he is.
He is on Twitter. Okay, cool.
Well, he's also too good for Marvel too, so they don't pay much.
What's his handle, by the way? I'll go ahead and put it in the chat.
I'll drop it right now.
Okay, cool.
I just put it in the chat, but I'll drop it in. I'll drop it up in the other chat. All right, but yeah. I guess, Matt, if you don't mind talking about how that selects where Beth is concerned.
Well, basically, the whole thing with Mythics is that I guess in a way, I don't have much of an idea for aesthetics. It just happens. And Beth is really good at figuring out how to do it with the least amount of direction.
She's definitely got a good sense of storytelling.
Oh yeah, definitely. She did her own webcomic that went on for about, I think, 400 pages. So
Wow.
yeah, and that's not including the pages she replaced to update the first issue of that webcomic.
She's got a lot of experience doing webcomics. Then she's
Actually, doesn't Beth like have a few published work too?
Yeah, I think she probably did. It might be she did a coloring gig for Caliber Comics, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, like, unless I hear different from Dan, it seems like out of the three of us, Matt has the artist with the most experience.
how's that been working with someone who's kind of been doing this for so long?
It's interesting. Oh, hey, see, it's. I have to say that getting someone who's experienced with illustrating comics, it's just something that works.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How'd you guys come together? How did you guys first come together?
I found out she had a website. I contacted her.
That easy, huh?
Yep.
And,
Can't believe she just said yes.
right? That's pretty awesome.
Well, she was it was open for commission, so.
Oh, so you just got in at the right time.
Yep. It was early enough that I don't think she had much in published work, in terms of having a publisher do it. Publisher work, but it's just, it actually felt quite amazing to have someone that you were a fan of do the artwork for your comic.
Yeah, that's an incredible experience.
Yeah, that is actually amazing because I mean, like, it's kind of like Brian's story with Liz.
Really?
Except that it was a lot faster for me to get a hold of Beth.
Oh, yeah. True. Like Brian said, like it took him like 3 years to get a hold of Liz.
Wow.
Yeah, but
So he'd been working on the project he had been in the works on it for a while then.
More or less, yeah. And by the way, shit you not, I mean, like I've seen the Instagram DM like he sent to her. She basically said yes on the spot.
That's awesome.
Although she assumed that she was going to be a background zombie.
Not the main character.
No, I think she was a little bit more. I think she was even more surprised when I did not see the rest of that, but it cuts off when he tells her you're the main character. I have to assume she was just shocked at that too.
And she's done an incredible job for their team, you know.
Well, yeah. Brian has said that Rags wouldn't be what it is without her. Well, actually, he has said Rags would not have worked without her.
Damn! Wow. No wonder it was so important for him to get her on the team.
No, you know what? Let me put this in perspective. Like, do you guys know the story behind how Quentin Tarantino got Uma Thurman onto Pulp Fiction?
No.
Okay, so Quentin Tarantino says that he wrote the part. Fuck, I forget what her name was. Mia Wallace. He wrote it specifically with Uma Thurman in mind, and he said like the movie just would not have worked without her. And so he calls her on the phone and basically reads the script out loud to her. And after that phone call, she's convinced. And although I have to imagine she just said yes to get him to shut up.
Yeah. Which is, I think it happens a lot more often than we think.
Yeah.
When, with the show Babylon 5, the character Leah Alexander was written specifically for Patricia Tallman, because the creator JMS is a fan of her work as an actress.
Yeah, some roles are just made for certain people. It seems, doesn't it?
Yep.
Pretty much.
Hey, speaking of which, that's actually makes me think of an interesting, kind of fun little hypothetical. Who would you guys want to see play in a Mythoverse movie? Series of movies.
I don't think Mythoverse would. I don't think Changeling would work if work live action. Just like
Really?
it's just. I just feel like something would get lost in it. Like a lot of its identity would get lost if you try translating into real life.
Okay, what about a TV show? Because there's a lot of successful graphic novels being turned into TV shows these days.
Well, if it was done like an anime, I
could see that.
I don't know. It's like off the top of my head. I guess for some, I don't know. I guess I kind of see off the top of my head Laura Bailey.
Really?
And I got watch Fruits Basket. It makes sense. She plays a girl that's around Maeve's age in that anime. She can do more than just the deep husky voice. Which
she also plays Kid Trunks in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, and although I think 90% of our audience knows her as like Lust in Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, that voice is hot as fuck, but yeah, she got some range on her.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep.
those voice actors are amazing. A lot of those anime voice actors.
Yeah.
It's changed. A lot of times people used to give English voice actors grief in the past, but I think it's come a long way, and they're a lot better these days.
Yeah, you still get those sub elitists, like they're always going to be around. Like they'll say, "Ugh." Let me put it this: they have a couple criticisms that are fair. Like some things just get lost in translation. You can argue that maybe not. And they'll argue like they use the same group of voice actors for everything, which, okay, yeah, that's a fair point. Those are fair points. I will give it that.
Well, you could also say that about Japanese voice actors, too.
They have the what?
Japanese voice actors, too.
They use the same ones, too, in Japan.
Yeah.
Because we can't, necessarily recognize each individual voice. Some people can.
I guess so, but yeah. But that being said, like my counter argument is that when it comes to dubs, if it's particularly in a non-Japanese setting with non-Japanese characters, I think it makes more sense to watch it in English.
Yep.
For me, it's more about context than anything.
Like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop or Trigun, Full Metal Alchemist, Berserk. Now, if we're getting into stuff that is a bit more actually, I would even throw JoJo's Bizarre Adventure into that too.
Oh yeah.
Although I'm not so sure about Part 4 because that's actually in Japan.
Yeah, Part 4. I have it on my DVR recorded right now from the Toonami run that's going on right now. It's really weird. It's so much more weird than the last part, which is saying something because it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So it's like I was expecting weird, but this is a whole nother level.
Dude. Oh man, the stuff basically once Kira was introduced into the anime, that's when it really started getting good for me. Just because the whole cat and mouse game with him was just so much fun was just so intense to watch.
True, yeah, that is a good point. It's definitely a horror heavy season, I think. It seems to be playing on those kind of tropes heavily. That this strange town, strange people. But yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. What about you, Matt? What would you want to see anyone play in either a Mythics or a McKinney Chronicles movie?
Well,
or TV show.
with the live action that they'll probably try to get Scarlett Johansson again.
You're probably right. I think you're right on that one.
And with McKinnon Chronicles will probably make Maisie a blonde rather than a ginger. So
That's funny.
not so much on that front, but I can see Michelle Ruff voicing characters.
So you guys would rather, in your preference, you would rather see it as an animated, both of you. Then.
Well, in my case, it's just that I think a lot of Changeling's identity would get lost in live action.
Especially because it's got that manga aesthetic, you know. It would translate well to an anime.
Yeah, I mean, some things just don't work in live action. I mean, like, Matt, I mean, there are exceptions, like the Gintama movie.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And
well, that's
there's all the Rurouni Kenshin movies that they made, the 3 of them. They're actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you can find exceptions, but by and large, I don't know. I just don't think. Like, I saw the trailer for the Bleach movie, and I just did not. I kind of was not hyped for it, just because. And the biggest sticking point for me was the fact that Rukia did not look like Rukia, which was odd to me because they clearly put work into making Ichigo look like Ichigo. They put work into making Renji look like Renji, but Rukia. And if anyone wants to tell me like her hairstyle was too complicated, first of all, her hair's is a pretty basic bob. It's not that hard to pull off. And second, did anyone not pay attention to Renji? He basically looked like himself.
Or Byakuya.
Yeah, it's just like, don't tell me they couldn't do it. It's like, fuck, I think even like the actress from one of the musicals looked more like her.
Oh yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of hers.
That's like, you're telling me the musical could do it better than the fucking movie?
Hey,
I think I also remember the live action Death Note, which something just kind of felt off about it to me.
Which version were you watching? The Japanese version or the
Japanese?
Really?
Although the Netflix, I cut the Netflix one a little slack since it kind of transplanted like everything to the States. So
I don't know. See, I really disliked the American version because I felt they failed to understand the characters adequately. Like, for example, L in the original, he's this stalwart detective. He goes after the case. He keeps going, and he is so smart. He's like, it's that cat and mouse between him and L. It's the back and forth, right? But
yeah, I know.
He loses control and he gets angry towards the end, and he actually breaks the law and like goes after L on his own terms. And that to me, Light goes after Light on his own terms. And to me, that just doesn't feel like L. It just doesn't.
Oh, yeah, feel not like that. Like you had even in the trailer where L was like making a statement in public, and it's just like in front of a press conference, which L never goes outside. L does not interact with people. He is like, one of his big character traits is that he has the worst possible people skills.
Yeah, totally.
He's just like he's a brilliant detective, but he is just so bad at being around people. Like he just does not comport himself like people should act. He basically can't be around people.
That's why he has walk.
It's like but the thing is, like, he's also kind of aware of that, so he just doesn't go out in public. That's not. He just does.
Yeah,
he just does everything from.
Won't be going anywhere.
He just does everything through Watson.
What was that?
I said he basically does
everything. Sorry.
I forgot. Else showed up all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yeah, I forgot my car keys, guys. Can you help me find my car keys? I think they're somewhere around.
Welcome back.
Thank you. You know, I just heard that you guys missed me, so I said, "What the hell? I'm gonna go back and entertain them a bit more."
That sounds perfect. So what were you made a comment on
Yeah, you were talking about how the American version of Death Note sucks, right?
yeah.
It does a
Pretty
lot. It does a
Uh,
lot of things wrong.
Oh,
But, yeah.
oh my God. Okay, so one of my favorite parts, and it's so funny because I'm just remembering this now. There's a fun chase scene between, well, it's fun, more like funny, really. Chase scene between Elle and Light, and they're on foot, and um, Light goes in. They run into a kitchen, and Light just starts like throwing food everywhere. Like he starts tossing the kitchen apart, throwing people's dishes on the floor, and it was just there was something about it that was just so hilarious. Like, what are you doing? Why are you ruining these people's nice dinners? Why? I just thought it was hilarious.
You know what?
It's very strange.
I don't think we'd even need to get into like the complete trash fire that's
Probably
Dragon
not.
Ball Evolution.
Probably not. That's for
and
another.
I give American remakes of Japanese properties a chance with Old Boy, but after seeing what they did with that, I said, "Good God, never again."
I think it depends on the director. Ghost in the Shell was a pretty straightforward adaptation with some conventional Hollywood.
Liberties taken.
Yeah. Yep.
Ghost in the Shell was okay. I don't think it deserved the bomb, but even so, it's so disconnected from what the original comic is supposed to be. Well, at least the original anime, because I think it adapts the anime
Oh
more.
yeah, because let's not compare it to the comic because like, dude,
Yeah.
even the original anime film was a completely different beast from the manga.
Is anyone
like-
out there who can understand Masamune Shiro? Not me.
No, well, here's the the thing with the film is that you really should not look at it like it's an adaptation of Masamune Shiro's work. It's really more Mamoru Oshii putting his on Shiro's material.
Yeah, I think it's a case similar to Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick, which it's one author adapting another author, and the end result is completely different of the original material. But it's still, in my opinion, it's better. Because
but in this case, it's so good. It's so good that it just more or less defines it more or less defines the tone of the property. Because with standalone complex, you can tell it's not drawing from the original manga, it's drawing from the film.
Totally, yeah.
Yep.
I love standalone complex. It's my favorite iteration of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
But one I'm looking forward to is the new Battle Angel Alita movie coming out.
Oh yeah, that one I think actually has a chance to be good just because of who's behind it. It has James Cameron on it. Like he's been chomping at the bit to get this movie made for over 18 years.
Yeah, but he was the same way with Avatar.
Well, Avatar made like $2 billion or some crap.
And it's also got Robert Rodriguez behind it too.
Since it's James Cameron, I'm just going to be suspicious of whether or not it's going to be good.
That's fair. You gotta take it with a grain of salt,
Yep.
It's just like
my bet is it's going to be like Ghost in the Shell. It's going to be an okay. It doesn't really have much to do with the original material.
Mm-hmm.
And it's James Cameron. You'll probably have some reference to global warming or something.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Well, when you think about it, it is set in a future where the environment's been kind of wrecked.
Technology bad.
And you have to have sex to look at people all the time.
In fact, if I remember correctly, I saw the OVA and like there was a woman like she kept covering her mouth just because the air in the town was just so bad.
That's probably why he's doing it.
Well, not only that, well he said he's been a fan of the manga. Like he got turned on to it by Guillermo del Toro.
Like I said, he's probably doing it because of the whole setting of he probably got into it because of the whole setting of the manga.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And actually, I would say like that the OVA is actually really good. It's just a shame like there was only 2 episodes made, and there was just like no plans to continue it beyond that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how sometimes that happens with certain properties in Japan. They seem to, if you know, whether it's because of the sales or other reasons, that they just don't go forward after a certain amount. You know.
I think another thing was just that the original author, he just wasn't interested in. He just was not interested in making an anime. He just wanted to. He wanted to work on the manga.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping up here. I wanted to see if there's any other things you guys want to go over with the Mythoverse while we have you here today. And I know you have a lot of stuff planned in the near future, but what do you guys got going on more close to now?
Like I said, all I've really got going on right now is I'm just painting Victor and Ginger where I can. And other than that, about the only big thing I can say is keep an eye out on me, Matt, or Dan's Twitter for when we launch the official Mythoverse website.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
As for Mythics, I'm in the midst of writing the first script, but I've also got ideas, notes jotted down for a crossover with Adobe Kroger in the next volume. And the one thing I would say that really makes them work is that while everyone likes to say that, I say that Alpheus Mythics seems a lot like Hellblazer. I actually designed Alpheus character more around Sherlock Holmes. And one of the things about Adobe Kroger is that she's more like Dr. Watson if you had a more active role in the story. So I think that's what's going to make those two characters work in a crossover for that with that whole Holmes Watson feel.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. That's awesome. I love that dynamic. You know, it's interesting to see those characters like that. And I'm sure it'll do better than the most recent Holmes and Watson that was just with Will Ferrell.
That movie was so awful. Not even Netflix wanted it.
And they took credit.
They wanted the ridiculous 6.
Oh man, yeah, that's interesting. It's weird. I honestly thought it was gonna be good. Like, I mean, you think the guys from Step Brothers doing a Sherlock Holmes movie, like the 2 actors, you know, like, oh, it's got to be good, right? How could they mess it up?
I make it a comedy.
I don't know. I mean, to me, the premise sounds perfect.
And then throwing a bunch of Trump jokes too.
What's that?
And then throwing a bunch of Trump jokes.
Truck jokes.
Trump.
Oh,
in 19th century England, how does that work?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. Yeah, that
arrangement syndrome.
Any modern day reference or jokes just doesn't really belong in a movie like that, really.
Yeah, it's been nominated for 6 Razzies, including Worst Picture.
I gotta wonder. Now I gotta wonder: is Will Ferrell gonna do what Sandra Bullock did and like show up with a wagon full of copies of it?
I'm sure he'll have enough of it from all the stores that that have excess copies.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just I don't know. What before we end for the day, what do you guys? I wanted to ask you guys, what are you guys up to for the rest of the day? What do you guys got plans for?
After this, I'm gonna go probably see if I can make some breakfast and then go to work.
Really? Oh man, that's a full day for you.
Pretty much, but it's my Friday. Tomorrow's my weekend starts.
Oh, okay. So that makes it a little bit unusual having to be on that kind of schedule, I bet.
Yeah. Although good news is got told my supervisor today is supposed to be a one truck day, so
A one truck day.
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, my job is unloading trucks.
Ooh, yeah, it's definitely better than a 2 truck day.
I've even had to work 3 truck days.
Oh God. Yeah, I used to work. Me and Matt used to when we met. We actually were working at Office Depot. That's how we first met, and we were up in the front. But we could see all the the freight guys, and man, they just were lifting stuff all day, every day.
I'll say this though. Working freight is a kind of makes going to the gym redundant.
Yeah, that's probably
Think
true.
of it as free gym, man. You go to the gym and you get paid.
Kind
Kind of like
Don't you go to the gym and get paid, Canales?
Sorry, you broke off. What was that?
Don't you technically go to the gym and get paid, Canales?
Well, that's true. And I also go to the gym and get paid for punching people in the face. So I'm
yeah, he's a trainer.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, that makes sense. I thought they were just like had some riffraff that they needed to get rid of. They're like, call Ebi, he'll come get rid of these dudes back. But so is that what are you going to be doing, Ebi? You got any plans for the rest of the day?
Well, my day is almost over. It's 8 p.m. now, so I don't know. I'll probably try to draw something, and then it's abs and cardio day.
Whoa, really? Tonight?
Yeah, no, I always work at late before dinner.
Oh
Like
wow.
every time. It's actually the only time of the day I'm free to do some workout. So yeah, I'm gonna try and be as less.
What was that?
I said I'm gonna try to be as less fat as possible. Little fat, less fat, little fat.
That's awesome, man. I've tried to do, go to the gym, but man, I'm too lazy.
I think the future is to work out at home. I don't have the stomach to go to the gym and and pay. Nor do I have the money because I'm an artist.
Right? Yeah, for real. That's not easy.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and get the best of what's left of my day now. Art and workout. Yeah.
You only got a few things left. Yeah, if I recommend you guys should check out a show called Deadly Class.
Yeah.
It's actually based on a Rick Remender comic. And it's a crazy show. It is insane. Basically, it's a class. The premise is it's this kid he grows up in an orphanage, but then everyone in the orphanage dies in a mysterious fire, and he's found by this group who are basically a school of assassins. Which, of course, you probably say, "Oh, we kind of heard that premise before." School of assassins, yeah, that's not 100% original. What makes this so interesting to me is that it's like a high school with different cliques, and these cliques are based on different groups in the world. So there's the cartel, the cartel kids. There's the sons and daughters of the FBI and CIA agents who are the preps. There's like the metalheads, and there's all these different. There's people who aren't assigned to groups, and there's this like really tense dynamic, and it's unlike anything I've really seen before.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. Just started up.
How long until they? I give it a season or so before they cancel it.
Think so? I know. They just did season 3 of. They're coming out with season 3 of Happy, which is that one based on the Grant Morrison comic, I think.
No, I love the first one. The first one was amazing.
The first Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's more palatable than the comic. comic is it's depressing as fuck.
Uh,
The show is actually very entertaining. It's more dark comedy than the comic itself, and yeah, I completely recommend it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never read the comic, but I could see that because the character really brings a lot of humor to it with the way he acts and portrays that character. With that actor. If for anyone who doesn't know, Happy is also another sci-fi show. They've been doing a lot of comic book adaptations recently, and this one is basically the premise is he's a ex assassin. No, he's an ex policeman turned like hitman, I think, and
Yeah.
his daughter goes missing, and so he has to find her, and his only aid is her small imaginary friend, who's like a little blue unicorn or something. And so it combines this. It's like this super cute character, but it's super, super dark and super not like safe for work. It's like the most ridiculous show I've ever seen, probably.
It's really twisted. It's Grant Morrison in one of his bad days.
Oh man. But that's funny. But what about you? What are you gonna do, Matt? What do you got going on?
Getting the first script done, start work on the second one, and maybe do something fun later, or more fun, or less fun,
Yeah, I know. It's us comic people. We stay busy, don't we?
Yep. Gotta do that though.
Yeah.
I barely sleep.
Oh, poor Canales. we need to get you more sleep, man.
Yeah, and maybe when I'm rich and famous, and I go the Sean Gordon Murphy lifestyle, the big house and the cigars. That maybe then I'll be able to sleep.
Hey, man, you're on your way already, so.
I'm sure as hell I'm gonna try.
Right, you gotta. Well, I think that'll about do it for today's episode. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. And is there anywhere we can follow you guys on Twitter and other places as well? Maybe Brett, you wanna tell us where you can follow you?
Yeah. I guess people can follow me on Twitter at Brett1106. You find that you'll basically find everything. There's a link to my YouTube on my bio. There's also links to. There is also links to the Patreon for the comic. Any money you donate that goes strictly towards paying Victor and Ginger. But that's all I got.
What about you, Canales? Where can people follow you now? It's always changing, so I'm sure people want.
Yeah, it's quite complicated. You can find me on Gaps and Minds and Facebook, of course. I'm friends with everyone, as people know. I'm extremely friendly, and you can follow my sexy hot secretary on Twitter, and she will patch you directly to me.
And if you're also in the into the cult, I believe you can raise some sort of secret plants and then burn it in a magic ritual, and Ibai will be summoned to whatever location you're currently at. So there's a couple different options.
Yeah, really. You just have to dance 7 times around a bottle of Rioja wine, and I will magically appear out of nowhere.
Exactly, and it's 7 times, people, not 8, not 6. It's 7. And then what about you? Where can people follow you, Matt?
You can follow me at Matt Trin on Twitter. And that's pretty much it. I've got my Patreon on the pinned tweet. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Someone says I follow Brett the Bastard, unfortunately. Hashtag joking. Throwing shade.
I don't think I fit in the definition of a bastard since my parents were married when I was born.
Yeah, not exactly, not technically. And then, oops, sorry, no, like that. And then you can follow me at NubGuy. And you can also follow Matt at MattB_Sulos. and also at us at Wikid Publishing.
Actually, yeah, honestly, if they want to keep up everything Wikid, they should be following the official Wikid Twitter.
True. Yeah. I mean, that's a good link to see everything. You know, we're always posting about stuff, and that's the good place for a lot of the latest news coming out too.
Yep.
Well, thanks. We're gonna call it a little bit short today. Do a little bit of a shorter episode. Thanks for joining us, guys. And I'm looking forward to all your projects, and can't wait to see more from them soon. So everyone, go ahead and do us a favor and follow them. And thanks again for joining us, everyone who's been watching and participating in the chat. And we'll see you guys next time for the Wikid podcast.
Yeah.
See you guys
later.
later.
Wikid Warriors.
Always a pleasure.